So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're going to check out the final weapon that I didn't have the time to review before I went on my vacation, the Guandao, which is based on a Chinese polearm, or pole weapon rather, the Guandao. It even looks like a proper Guandao. Well, kind of. It's been Warframeified, so it's more of a space ninja weapon rather than a Chinese warrior weapon, but still, what's going on over here? Where's the butchered name? Where's the jet engine? But anyway, enough blabbering. You can get the blueprint for the Guandao from the Tenno lab in your dojo. The blueprint itself will once again cost you 15,000 credits, and if you then want to build it, you will have to put an additional 15,000 credits, 3 gallium, 65 oxium, 750 polymer bundles, and 2,500 ferrite. This weapon is very cheap. And the research isn't too bad either, and if your clan didn't instantly finish it as soon as it came out, the bottleneck was probably in plastids, because you do need 1250 plastids, which is of course going to be scaled up based on the size of your clan. Now the Guandao is of course a polearm, and it's a mastery rank 4 weapon. It does 90 damage with each hit, 63 is slash, 22.5 is impact, and 4.5 is puncture. It has very odd 24% crit chance with a 2.2 times multiplier, which is higher than it is on most weapons. It's just a weird number. And the status chance is only 4% with an attack speed of 0.833, which is pretty damn slow. And finally, the weapon comes with 3 polarities, a D, a V, and a double dash polarity in the stance slot. It also seems to have pretty much the same range as Orthos Prime, so it's great at cutting down groups, and it can even hit flying enemies, and if you have primed reach, you're going to be hitting dudes that are really far away from you. Now, since this is a mastery rank 4 weapon, it's also very cheap, so you can get it really early on. I decided to do 2 builds instead of just one, because I think it's highly unlikely you're gonna have Blood Rush, Drifting Contact, and primed reach at like mastery rank 4 or 5. So the low-level setup doesn't require any Forma. Everything will fit assuming you have a potato and a fully ranked stance on it. Speaking about stance, I'm using Shimmering Blight, which has a double dash polarity, so it matches the weapon, and it is a decent stance. I actually like it quite a bit. Then we have Pressure Point for damage, True Steel for critical chance, Organ Chatter for critical multiplier. After that, we're going to add Reach, which is going to amplify the already ridiculous range of the weapon and allow us to hit more enemies and flying enemies much easier. Then we're going to put in North Wind to utilize the depolarity the weapon comes with. Then we're going to use Fury because you're probably not going to have Berserker at Mastery Rank 4. And finally, we have Fever Strike with Choking Touch for corrosive damage. Now, for a low-level setup, it is surprisingly powerful, and it can easily deal with Sortie-level Infested and Corpus. It's not the fastest thing in the world, both in terms of kill time, because we are using a low-level build, but also in terms of attack speed, because Fury is not quite enough attack speed for a weapon that has 0.833. It is kind of slow. But for what it is, an easy-to-get Mastery Rank 4 weapon with kind of a cheap build that doesn't require any Forma, it will easily take you through the entire star chart, and it will allow you to do a couple of sorties as well. The only real stopping point for this weapon is high-level Grenier, because they simply have too much armor and the weapon can't really punch through it. But it's gonna be just fine versus the Infested and the Corpus, and it will take down Grenier up to sort of level 50 or 60. If you go above that, the tougher units like Heavy Gunners, Bombars, Noxes, and Napalms will become far too tough, and you will probably have to strip away their armor or hit them with a finisher to kill them in a reasonable amount of time. And now for the setup that I am using on the Guandao. Now, I did a little bit of a derp here. It is a 2 Forma build where I've added 2 Vs, but what I should have done is format away the D into a V and then add a V. The way I did it over here means that body count doesn't fit, and I have to use Drifting Contact because it's cheaper and fits the D polarity, so I'm getting lower combo timer. But anyway, the stance is once again Shimmering Blight because it matches the polarity and has some decent combos. Then we have Primed Pressure Point for damage, Primed Reach to amplify the already ridiculous range of the weapon. Then I'm using Drifting Contact, but ideally you would want to use Body Count, Blood Rush to get more crit chance as we build up our combo counter, Organ Shatter for higher critical multiplier at 4.2 times. Then we have Berserker to increase the attack speed, and finally Fever Strike with Choking Touch for corrosive damage. And this setup is unsurprisingly far more powerful than the low-level setup. It absolutely demolishes the Infested and the Corpus. And it demolishes the Corpus through the sheer power of its crit damage, because I didn't even swap my elemental combo around, so I was still using corrosive for them. And the really good thing about this weapon when it comes to the Corpus is that it has so much range that 9 out of 10 Ospreys will die from you just waving it around. You don't have to target them down or use abilities or even switch to another weapon. It's a little bit slower when it comes to the Grenier because one half of their roster is weak to radiation and the other half is weak to corrosive, which you can't get on most weapons at the same time. So you either have to strip away their armor or you have to use a finisher when the enemies get too much armor and the weapon just doesn't punch through it. You can use Shattering Impact because the weapon does do impact damage, so you can strip away their armor that way, but you will have to sacrifice one of the mods. And even though polearms do have a couple of multi-strikes here and there on their combos, the armor stripping is pretty slow. So I would recommend either using a companion to strip away their armor, or a Warframe to strip away their armor, or just use something that opens them up to a finisher, which does far more damage. Now, I'm sorry for using basically the same clip that I did in yesterday's video, but I think it shows you that yes, this weapon can take you through endgame. You can easily do 1 hour long survivals with it, even versus the Grenier. The weapon is just really strong, and the cool thing about it is that it's one of those weapons that you get at low mastery rank. You get it in mastery rank 4, and you kick it off with a basic build that's easily going to take you through the entire star chart. But once you're through the star chart and you get some better mods, maybe a couple of primed mods from Barketeer, or you trade with other players, the weapon becomes an absolute crit monster that will take you through sorties as well. This weapon is an incredible investment for newer players because it's literally going to stay with you throughout the rest of the game. Are there better, more powerful, or more specialized melee weapons in the game? Of course there are, but I don't think any of them are available sub-mastery rank 4 and are this easy to get. They're usually far more expensive in terms of resources, or they require far more time to get. So you should definitely try this weapon out, even if you're not a new player, because the weapon is still really strong and will take you through sorties. And let's also not forget that this is a polearm, so it allows you to attack while running, but also sprinting, which is a hell of a lot of fun. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching, as always guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.